Welcome to crowdfunding. What is crowdfunding? Why launch a campaign? And what does it take to actually be successful? So the first thing I want to say is that this is a high-level event. It's going to be the first in a series this year that we're going to be hosting on crowdfunding and what it takes to actually launch a campaign successfully. So if you dream it, you can fund it and you can launch it. However, let's also talk about what is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is the option and the ability to raise funds from the crowd, from many individuals, in order to actually launch your product. Traditionally, people might go to a VC, to an angel investor, and you only find one investor to give you all that money. But it's challenging. You have to pitch continuously, and you need to find that one person that connects to your idea. With crowdfunding, you can go to anybody. Anybody can become your investor. Anybody can be your backer, and you can go to the mass. So crowdfunding is the ability to raise capital for ideas through a series of contributions from a collective group of people. Potentially, the person next to you in this room could be your backer. There's three types of crowdfunding: equity, reward, and donation-based. Tonight, we're actually going to focus on reward-based crowdfunding. So let me just touch on briefly the other two. Equity crowdfunding is as it sounds. It is the option to raise equity for shares in a company, donation-based, and also equity crowdfunding. You might have heard of platforms like WeFunder or Seed Invest, where you can actually raise the capital and anybody can be an investor. $50, $100, $1,000, whatever it might be. But again, you're exchanging shares in the company to be able to raise the capital. Donation-based is for 501c3s, nonprofits, NGOs. Unfortunately, I think some people in this room might have contributed to a crowdfunding campaign related to events that have happened since October. So that is really for charity and donation. You might have heard of platforms like GoFundMe. Reward-based, which is what we're here to talk about, is for Indiegogo Kickstarter. And reward-based, you can think of it like a pre-sale or a pre-order for a product in order to launch it. So why crowdfunding? Why would somebody actually launch their product through crowdfunding? Now, all of these reasons, you have 5 main reasons. However, it's not just one reason that you're going to choose to launch a crowdfunding campaign. The first one is the obvious one: access to capital. The first reason, we all want to raise funds in order to bring our product idea to life. Just make sure I also am catching everyone on the upstairs. And really quick, I want to ask, actually, before I go through all of these ideas, with a show of hands, how many people in the room tonight are entrepreneurs or innovators or individuals that are looking to launch a product in the future? Raise them high. Oh, that is awesome. Look around, guys. That is great. I love this. And how many people are in here from the marketing side? Raise them high, be proud. All right, make sure you stay after a network, because you're all going to want to network to be able to help each other. That is exciting. That is more than I thought. So I'd like you actually all to give yourselves a round of applause to be startup founders. So thank you. You too. So yeah, I mean, access to capital is one of the main reasons that people go to these crowdfunding platforms, to get the money for manufacturing, for production, for people, for development. The second reason is validation of ideas. So when you launch a product or an idea on the crowdfunding platform, you're also validating that people want to buy it before you do the manufacturing and production. It's important that before you go to a mass production, you see that individuals actually are interested, that you're validating that there's a demand for this product in the market. The next one is market exposure. So one of the benefits with the crowdfunding platforms is that you're actually accessing a global community of early adapters, of individuals that are there and ready to back your product. And not only that, these are early adapters that have already backed products in the past. With Indiegogo, for example, our backers, 1 in 3 backers are repeat backers. And so that means that when you launch your hardware or tech idea, that these individuals already understand what it means to be an early adapter of the technology and are interested in helping to bring that to life. Building a community for number 4. This is perhaps one of the most important reasons why somebody will succeed on crowdfunding. But when you launch, you also will build a community. But really, and Ron's going to talk about it a little bit more later, the true success and the secret sauce is building a community before you launch, having a group of individuals that are going to back your project when you launch it, that are excited about it, enthusiastic, and they're also going to be your brand ambassadors and have word of mouth. Number 5 is product pre-orders. As we said before, reward-based crowdfunding is essentially a pre-order and a pre-sale. And so when you launch on Indiegogo or on a crowdfunding platform, you're essentially getting backers for pre-orders to be able to then go to manufacturing and production. And so when we talk about validating early demand and looking at the traditional model of launching versus going on Indiegogo or a crowdfunding platform, the biggest benefit is that after the design phase, so you've worked with your industrial design firm, you have your prototype, your working prototypes, maybe you've done some work with beta testers. When you go to validate and produce, you can launch on Indiegogo and validate the product before you actually have to produce it. When you go by way of traditional launching, you are actually needing to have the prototype, mass produce the product, and then you need to start launching and validate and see that people want it. This way, you're validating that people want it, and then you launch. Crowdfunding stats, these are some of my favorite numbers, and it really, I think, highlights the benefit of the platform and the industry and the ecosystem. So all of these numbers are for reward-based crowdfunding in particular. As we said before, there's the 3 types. You have equity crowdfunding, and there's a lot of interesting statistics around that as well. I'm happy to share later. These numbers in particular, again, are for the reward-based. In the last 15 years, over $10 billion have been successfully raised through crowdfunding platforms to bring over 325,000 campaigns to life. So 325,000 campaigns have been successfully funded through reward-based crowdfunding platforms with a success rate of 41%. Now I'm going to actually ask a question. How many of the founders in the room want to raise $1 million? Yes, everybody wants to raise. Out of curiosity, do you know how many campaigns of the 325,000 have crossed $1 million? You can shoot the numbers out. 20%. Okay. What else? How much? Do we have any other numbers? That would be amazing. 37%. I like that you're all talking in percentage. Of the successful campaigns that were funded, 0.9% cross $1 million. 0.9%. I know it is not what everyone thinks, because we always hear in the market about the success stories. And unfortunately, I'm going to also talk about one of those success stories. So, and also we are seeing an annual growth of 33.7% for funding, for funds raised through crowdfunding. So it goes to show as well that innovators are interested in launching on crowdfunding, and also that people are still backing and interested in participating in bringing these ideas to life. Just some interesting stats around the top crowdfunding markets around the world, because I assume in this room, when you launch your product, you probably want to launch in the US, in the EU, and outside of Israel. So I want to talk really briefly about a case study and about a success story that I got to work on a few years ago. How many people here have actually heard of Lumen yeah, a fair amount, because Lumen is a very successful story. In 2018, I was privileged enough to be brought on to the campaign as the project manager and crowdfunding consultant to help bring it to life. The secret to why Lumen was so successful was that before they brought me on, they spent 4 years. They spent 4 years building the product, the community, validating it through research, clinical trials. They did validation studies, and they worked with over 400 beta users in the US and in Israel in order to identify why people needed this, why it would be beneficial to them, and to hone in on their target audience. And so when they brought me on, by that point, they already had this foundation of research and understanding. They knew their message inside and out, and they had started to build that community through the beta users and through all of the research. When we launched, it took about 16 weeks to build the pre-campaign. And Ron's going to talk about it more as well. But the secret sauce, the one thing that really, really, really will make a campaign successful is what you do before you launch. All of the marketing and foundation and community building before you launch is what will dictate if a campaign is truly successful. And so when Lumen launched, we crossed the funding goal within the first 24 hours. And then we went on to continue to actually raise 1.7 million during the 45-day campaign, stayed on in demand because Indiegogo is one of the only platforms that's really the bridge to e-commerce. And so after the campaign ended, we stayed on, continued to collect pre-orders through in demand, raised another $650,000, built the product manufacturing, and then launched. We put 10,000 products in the market in over 88 countries. And when you go to crowdfunding, unlike a traditional launch as well, you have those 10,000 units that you ship almost in one go. So that means that you're getting this injection of people using your product in the market to then be your brand ambassadors, your referrals, and these people will be probably your biggest ambassadors because they were your early adapters. They believed in you before you even produced your first product and before you actually manufactured. But the nice thing, oh, where's my clicker? This is nice, early stage startup success and talking about crowdfunding. But I want to just briefly mention before I hand it over to Ron, the thing that's so exciting is that crowdfunding is not just for startups. It's also for enterprise and corporate companies. It's for large scale businesses. And the reason for that, for example, in the case of Logitech, and I happen to be using that here, I'm sure all of us have something Logitech, is that it's what I showed you before with that timeline of why to go to crowdfunding. Enterprise companies and corporate companies and large scale businesses now understand that that before they invest into manufacturing and into production, they can test and validate the audience and the demand for this product through crowdfunding. And so in the case of Logitech, before they manufactured, they decided to do a market exposure to validate that people wanted it, and they raised $615,000. Lego also had done a campaign, again, very successful, seeing if there was a demand for it, validating that people wanted it. So with that, it's a great opportunity to now hand it over to Ron, who's going to take over and talk about the 3 stages of what it takes to build a crowdfunding campaign. Yep. You just have to click this.
Oh, I have the light in my eyes.
Yeah.
So hi, everyone. Can you hear me like that, or I need the mic? Mic, okay. So today we're going to talk about crowdfunding. Okay, there are 3 main stages of crowdfunding. But before we start, I would like to present myself. My name is Ran. I come from the advertising agencies in the past, and for the last 10 years, I've been doing crowdfunding campaigns and go-to-market validation with a lot of startups. During my period in the advertising agencies, I've won a lot of international awards for creativity because I was a creative art director, creative director, and VP creative for 13 years. And during my period of running campaigns, mostly on Indiegogo, but also on Kickstarter, I've raised also millions of dollars for the different campaigns. And today we're going to talk about how to do a good campaign, because many people think, okay, I have a good product, that's enough. I'll do a video, I'll put it on the campaign page, and everybody will buy. So that's not really how it happens, okay? So in the first phase, the preparation. Sid already talked about it. It's crucial to have a good preparation. And not only to have a good product, you also need to know your market. You need to know who are your competitors, what they are doing. You need to learn from the good stuff they're doing, but also to learn from the bad stuff. While you're learning from the bad stuff, you're trying to make the bad stuff better for you, okay? So then you do a big market research as much as you can, and then you build a strategy. Strategy is super important. I'll give you an example. I had a campaign for a product that is called that had a different name for a fat reduction device. And it had a really awkward name and nobody could remember the name. I took the product, I looked at it, and then I took 2 photos, and then I saw that you just need to move it on the leg, for example, or on the abs in order for it to work. And then I looked at it, I said, okay, it looks like an iron. And would it be amazing to call it fat iron? And this name was very good because after doing the market research and understanding how the product works and everything that is about the product, it would be easier for people to understand what does the product do, okay? It would iron off the fat. So we did the whole campaign about that and with little explanation. Your part would be to bring a very good product. So if you want a successful campaign, you have to have a good product, good campaign, and a good marketing budget. So if you have a good product and a good market research with a good strategy, these are the first steps in order to have a successful campaign. And then you need to take the strategy and you need to continue all the time and in the same direction. Don't change the strategy every 5 minutes. Don't try to you know, a lot of people think, okay, my product is doing this and this and that. That's not the way, because once I give an example, I had a product, a campaigner that came to me, told me, I have a device, is doing everything. I said, great. And then he told me, I asked him, who is the target audience? Everyone. So I told him, you have a product that does nothing and your target audience is no one. So what we did, we took all the features, we took out many of the features, we created one product with a target audience, and then the campaign was successful. Because that's the way to do it. You need to be focused, need to take the strategy and go all the way, never change it, as long as it's a good strategy. What Sid also talked about is creating a community, okay? If you look at a lot of big brands, they have a big community around the brand, and this is crucial, because if you make people your ambassadors, it's already helping you build your brand faster, better, and you will have validation from the people that are using the product, and not just you saying all the time, my product is amazing, okay? So the more you build a bigger community, the more followers you have, the more interaction that you have with those people in order for your for people to like your product, then you will have a better chances of having a successful campaign. And when you are preparing your campaign, you also need to work on your goals and also your budget, on your, not budget, your pricing, okay? Because also pricing has a lot of importance. And the good thing about Indiegogo is that the fact you can test your pricing, okay? Do you know the early bird pricing, how it works with Indiegogo? Okay, so I'll explain. You have different pricing. If you're early bird, if you buy at the beginning of the campaign, you take the perks that are the lower price, okay? That is a quantity. Let's say there's 100 products in that lower price, the early bird price, and then it goes to 120, 140, and so on. What you can do if you have a product and you don't know which price you need to do, you start with a lower price and you go up the prices. Once you see people stop buying because the price is too high, you go back to the lower price. So for you, it's also a validation of the pricing that you can profit from doing an Indiegogo campaign. Now, one of the most important things when doing a crowdfunding campaign, and I cannot stress it enough, is the video. People, do you know how many people will watch the campaign and decide to buy? Give a number. 2%? No, 90%. 90. Okay, 90% of people will watch your video and then decide if they want to buy. Only 10% will read through your page. People that will read through your page normally will do it if the price is over $50 or $100. Okay, because Then you move from how you say it, you know, you want to buy a product fast because it's you will buy it fast because it's only 50, and when it's over 100, then you have to think about it. Then you will read more, you will get more information, then you will buy the product. So the campaign video is super important. If you do a good campaign and people will trust and believe that what you're saying is good for them, then they will buy it. Do you think that if you put your product out there, that's enough? What's the number one reason that people will buy? Let's say like that. Do you have an idea? Yeah. Reviews. What else? Proof of concept, feelings. So the number one reason people will buy is themselves. Everybody will buy a product that is good for them, okay? And not because of the product that is amazing product. They don't care about none of your products. It doesn't matter if you have the most amazing product. If you're solving a problem for them, if it's gonna make their life easier, better, or whatever, they always think about themselves. So when you're doing a video, always think about that. Not how amazing your product is, but how it can solve a problem for them. Then during the pre-campaign, you have to do a pre-launch. So you have to collect as much followers or people subscribers that would want to buy your product before the campaign. Because the power of a crowdfunding campaign, it's with the good momentum of the beginning of the campaign. So you have to build a community, you do a landing page, you collect emails. There are different strategies in order to collect emails. You start a conversation with that community, you open social medias, you give more and more information, you create an email funnel in order to give them more information and to make them excited about the product. Once you're ready, and you know that you have enough people that would be interested in your product, once you're ready, you can launch your campaign. But just going back for a second about the video, I will show you one of the videos that I've done, okay? I'll show you only the beginning because most people, you know, we live in the fast food decade. So most people will watch the first 10, 15 seconds, then they will decide if they want to continue watching the video. Even if your video is 3 minutes, the first 10, 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds are crucial. So,
this innovative tool is the fat freezer planner. First, home use fat reduction device that freezes away exotic fat. Like most people, I was believe that diet and exercise would be enough to reduce stomach fat. Studies show that 95% of dieters fail. Why? Because our fat cells are like small balloons. When you diet and exercise, the fat cells shrink. And when you eat, they go up. All the sweating and calorie counting just doesn't change the facts. Whether they shrink or grow, the number of fat cells in your body always stays the same. Wouldn't it be great to just say goodbye? The Fat Freezer Platinum uses technology to freeze away stubborn fat from the comfort of your own home. To optimize results, the Fat Freezer Platinum uses Fair Light. The Fat Freezer Platinum will help you sculpt your body.
okay, so you can see that in the first 15, 30 seconds, we gave a lot of information that is very interesting for people that want to lose fat. The fact that fat cells, you cannot lose fat cells. They can grow, they can shrink, but you cannot lose them. And that's something that a lot of people that are trying to lose weight are suffering from. So we gave information, and then we gave a very interesting way to explain the product with the balloons. Okay, so it's easy for people to understand what we are talking about without, you know, professors and graphs and everything. A very simple and easy way to understand the whole fat cells idea. Okay. Launch. So we said we created all the pre-launch. We have the community. We have all the audiences. We have subscribers. Also, there are so many things that you need to do during the pre-campaign. But then the launch day comes, okay? You send all the emails to everyone and telling them the campaign is gonna start soon. They're gonna 24 hours before, then the day of the launch. Today we are launching. Everybody is excited. And those first hours are crucial. Why? Because there's something that is called Indiegogo algorithm, Gogo factor, that will see how the campaign is going. And by the Gogo factor, it will put your campaign up on the list, so more people will see it. And also, you have the fact that if people see that your campaign is successful, more people will buy. I like to give an example of the empty and full restaurant, to which if you're going in the street or you're going abroad and you see two restaurants, one next to the other, one is empty, one is full, where would you go? To the full, right? Exactly the same thing with the campaign. If you see that the campaign is going well and all the time people are buying, you will buy also. That gives a good momentum, and the campaign will continue to raise more funds and will be very successful going on. But that doesn't mean that you launch the campaign and that's the end of the story. You have to work. You have to work all the campaign duration as much as possible, because you need to engage with your backers. You need to talk to them, because every backer has friends, has family, and many of them can also buy from your product. So more people that would be engaged would tell their friends to buy from your product. And also, you need to continue marketing efforts, Facebook ads, Google ads. If you're doing PR, it's good. Anything that you can do, talk to communities, anything that you can do to drive more and more traffic, that will help your campaign be more and more successful. And then once you have more and more data coming inside, you need to analyze it. If you see, for example, most of the traffic comes from the US, put more effort to the US. If it's from Germany, South Korea, Australia, whatever, try to focus on those areas. All the time, look at the stats. And then let's say you did a 45, 60 days campaigns, and then you raise your funds. The campaign doesn't end there. I had campaigns that raised, let's say, one campaign, for example, the fat iron, it raised during the campaign 1.2 million, but we continued during in demand and we raised 1.8 million, because you already have a success story, and then you want to continue the success story. Even before you launch the product to the market, you want to raise more funds, you go do in demand. In demand is a great tool because you can continue the campaign using your success story from during the campaign. So you need to explain also for people to understand why you're doing in demand, and give them all the time information about the production stage you're at. So people will not ask, like they don't always understand what's crowdfunding. Some people at the end of the campaign will say, I want the product. They think that it's Amazon. No, you need to explain all the time. You're doing crowdfunding. The product will be delivered in a month, in 3 months, 6 months. So they would be satisfied, and you need to show progress all the time. If you don't talk to the backers, you're gonna have a lot of problems, believe me. Let's talk at the end with we have in 2 minutes Q&As, okay? So after the campaign, you have to do a lot of work outside the campaign. You need to make sure you do the fulfillment, and many campaigners, they think that they have a prototype. That's enough. There's a big distance between having a product as a prototype and manufacturing. So before you do a campaign, you have to know how to manufacture your product. You have to know everything before you launch the campaign, not after. And I see this mistake happening a lot. I have, for example, a campaign I did for an modular electric guitar. He did an amazing guitar. He took the guitar to road shows in the United States and Expo and everything. People went crazy after his guitar, but then he didn't know how to produce. And now, like 4 or 5 years after the campaign, he's starting to deliver. And that's crazy. And also continue. You have this asset that you got from the crowdfunding campaign of building a community, knowing the prices and everything that is around this amazing marketing tool. Use it to grow your community. Use it for your product launch, your real product launch once you bring it to market. Use all those tools and continue them to grow your product and your market share and everything. And just to give the timeline and how much time does it take to do a crowdfunding campaign? So it takes time. That's something that everyone needs to know. It's not a fast thing. It's something that takes time. For the pre-campaign, in order to do all the collection and building a community and getting leads and everything, that takes between 2 to 3 months, okay? And that's the pre-campaign. Once you do the launch, you can do it from 30 to 60 days, okay? So you have another 30 to 60 days for the campaign, and then you can continue. You get the funds in 15 business days, and then you can continue in demand. After the in demand, you can start selling it on your Shopify store, e-commerce store that you have. So as you can see, it's a long process, but it will help you build a better product, okay? Q&A. Yeah. Questions?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Ron. And again, thank you everyone for coming out. We need that. So Q&A, yes.
How we can calculate certain costs for different countries? Because, for example, if we have a company in Israel and we build some hardware, how we can calculate how price of sending to USA, for example?
This is an awesome question. So really quick, in a summary, how to calculate shipping costs for around the world of your product before you start shipping it. So there's actually 2 things to note. One, with the shipping costs with crowdfunding platforms, there actually is an option that you can charge shipping after, that you don't need to charge shipping during the campaign. So this is a new feature that's been rolled out recently. So that is an option that you don't have to completely know 100% what it is, but how to find it out. There's companies like EasyShip that exist that you can be in touch with, talk to them about your product, where you'll be manufacturing, what countries you plan to ship to, weight, size, so on and so forth, and you can get an estimate. You have other ways you can talk to FedEx. You have other manufacturing companies where you plan to produce. You can also talk to them. But EasyShip, for example, is a partner of Indiegogo. You could reach out to them and start to get some ideas, for example. Next question.
You have a product that is close to mass production. Is it useful to go to crowdfunding or actually wait 2, 3 months till the product is manufactured, build the stock?
That is an awesome question. Do you want to answer it first? Or you want me to? Yeah, we'll build on it. So if you have a product that's close to manufacturing, whether or not to go to crowdfunding, great question. You absolutely can still go to crowdfunding. And there's a big benefit to what you're saying is that the lead time is less. So a lot of times on the crowdfunding campaigns, you will see that people are waiting 6 months, 8 months, sometimes a year to receive the product. So if you're coming out and saying we are close to manufacturing and you've done a lot of this, it's a big benefit for somebody when they're making that buying decision that they know that you are closer and that you're already in touch with a manufacturer. So it adds a layer of credibility.
I think that not only that, if your product is ready for manufacturing, you can profit from the success of your crowdfunding campaign for your product launch. Okay, so you can continue the momentum with the sales with your product launch after the campaign, because one of the great tools of crowdfunding, and I'll give an example, is the fact that it's a success story. Okay, for example, if you raised, let's say, $1 million or more, people will search your product. They will see your ad, let's say, on Facebook. They will search on Google. They will see Indiegogo on the first page. They will check it out. They will see like 10,000 people bought your product. And then they will go to your Shopify store and they will buy your product immediately, because then they will get your product after 3 days instead of on crowdfunding after 1 month or 3 months in your case. So it's a great marketing tool, and I personally prefer working with campaigners that they will launch the product in 3 months.
So you ran an Indiegogo campaign about 9 years ago.
9 years, okay.
Which product?
Yeah. Okay.
We spent a lot of money on video, but nothing else. So we didn't do any of the free kind of building a community and actual launch. I can absolutely understand how important that is. And if you don't have it, it doesn't matter how good your video and your product is actually based on that. So the question I had is how much should you realistically budget when you decide to do an Indiegogo campaign in order that you do all of this properly, allowing for the fact that you are going to build a community from scratch, say, and then launch it, produce a good video, and then do the posting, engagement, etc., in a way that gives it the highest quality.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much for coming out and sharing that backstory. And I think it's really important to hear sometimes why campaigns don't make it. And so when we talk about budget, there are a lot of, let's call it template answers that you can say X percentage of this and X percentage of that. Every individual that launches has their reason why. And this is what I had mentioned before. Every individual has their own reason for why they are launching. And so when you talk about what is the actual budget that you need to calculate, the question I ask is, why are you raising funds? Is it for manufacturing? Is it to reach a minimum order quantity? Is it to just test the market and get a first initial reaction in the market? And so, you know, we usually say 30%, if you talk about ad spend, you know, we can put numbers out and say 30%, if you have an ad spend, or if you want to raise $100,000, then you need to have 30% for 30,000, which is 30% for the ad spend, for example. But again, it completely depends on the cost of the product. Indiegogo is very well known for e-bikes, for example, but these e-bikes are going for $8,000, for example, right? You also have products that are launching for $30. And so your return on ad spend is going to be different, where you're getting community, so on and so forth. You also can build community free. There are free ways to build community between LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, Reddit channels, going to different networking and meeting events. And so when we talk about budget, it really depends on what your actual end result and objective is. It's a long-winded answer. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Real books, like with paper? It's, oh my gosh.
I think my
They
father
are-
has one.
Yeah, I think I might have a few. Well, you also have table books, decorative books, but actually really relevant, our platform. So I'm happy to connect you. Eileen is our head of creative. She's launching and working with individuals who are launching books, music, movies, all of this. And so books are actually quite relevant. I'm blanking on the name. My husband actually backed somebody who taught. He was a professor that launched a book through crowdfunding, ended up raising about 180,000 on the first campaign, went on and did another 400,000 because he had built the initial community. And it was on, I think it was on machine learning or, machine vision, something like this. So like a very technical, hardcore book. So people do it. They launch and they're very successful. Yes. Wait, guys. Wait, hold on. Sorry, gentlemen. We'll do it after. There, yes.
So about building a community. Building a community, you can do it in many ways. It really depends on the budget and the time and the efforts and the team that you have, okay? Each aspect, as the bigger you have, the easier it's going to be, okay? So there are different ways. If you have budget, then of course you can buy Facebook ads and Google and those kind of things and drive traffic to your landing page, collect leads and everything, and then talk to them, open Facebook pages, open TikTok and all those different social medias for a lot of content, okay? A lot of content. Try to be as creative as possible. Try to give information that people don't know, okay? Try to excite them. Try to give some like value in those social media, and more people will come to your social media platforms, especially on TikTok. TikTok, you don't need to have many followers. Even one video can, boom, get 2 million, 4 million, or 5 million views because it's a good video, okay? Even though you don't have a lot of followers. And if you don't have a big budget, then you need to work harder, okay? You need to go to all those groups, participate, become a contributor in the information, so people will know you. You need to talk to all the people from the community, tell them about your product, but in a subtle way. Don't try to sell something. Try to be one of the gang, okay? And this takes more and more time, okay? But it's also very, very powerful.
Sorry, I'm just going to continue to add on building a community. Something else that's important, and we talk about when you're close to manufacturing and having prototypes, having a few tens of products that you can give for sample for influencers, for press, for media, for people to use and to actually post about. So it's not necessary. You still need to invest into devices that you can give to people and expect them to keep it. But that voice, that amplification, and having people actually see it out in the market, those influencers, it also will add credibility to the campaign itself when you launch it, that you're adding trust that you have manufactured, people are using it, and you're able to ship it. So I wanted to actually ask, does anyone in the top have questions? Because I wasn't looking up. No? Not missing anything up there? Great. About the fees? Platform fees? Yeah, good question. So from the top, we have a question about platform fees. For platforms like Indiegogo, Kickstarter, for reward-based, it's 5% of funds raised. So if you want to launch a pre-campaign page and start to collect emails, that does not cost anything yet. And you are paying once the campaign is fully funded 15 days out. So 5% of funds raised. And then obviously you have Stripe and so on and so forth. But that's about that. Actually, really quick, Jordan, sorry, 1 second. Jordan, no questions from the live? Okay. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
don't know how to dedicate to the campaign and prototype higher and also dedicate people.
What is the success rate of of campaigns that have a dedicated team? So you talk about a marketing team, for example? I actually don't necessarily have that statistic. However, if you are working with a marketing team, consultant, an agency, your chances, I don't want to call it chances, but most likely you're then working with a professional who knows how to guide you. And so therefore,
It's better if you have the data. You know the data, you think about it better, right?
that if you're working with a dedicated marketing team, your chances are more high to be successful. That's the question.
What's the data? Better, like, so it can be better, right? Oh, I know whether it's better or not. Or how I know it's going to have to keep or not.
It's important to work, I'll put it this way. You want to work with a marketing professional or a marketing team in order to help build that community, the movie, the project management, and in order for it to really go off with a bang. Does that answer? Talk to me after. Talk to me after. It'll be a good question.
So you emphasized about the importance of the pre-launch stage.
Yep.
And it's mostly about marketing. At least it's like a crucial part with its marketing. And I'm trying to understand like how to work with the funnel properly on this stage, because of course there's some basic conversions like to take emails to make people subscribe to your pages, but I actually heard about some tips like to make people as your VIP
Yes.
subscribers, so on. Maybe you can tell more tips like to work with the stage.
About the so it's called a reservation funnel, and it's a concept to actually early on validate your list. And so that's actually a really good point. And I want to touch on something that you said about the community and building it before the marketing, and the validation funnel is a fantastic point. One of the things that made Lumen so successful, for example, with this campaign, wasn't about the marketing. It was the fact that they spent 4 years in research, in validation. They did clinical trials. They worked with 400 beta users in the US, which was their target audience, and in Israel here. So they started here, they tested it, and then they went to their target audience. So outside of marketing, before they actually started that whole process, they identified their audience, their need, and they honed in on the product and all of the specifications. That is equally as important, but it also is important from a marketing perspective because it adds credibility and trust to the campaign. When somebody goes, the thing with the crowdfunding platform is that when you come, you want to say that we have done the research and the validation, and we now need you to come and back and support it so we can go to manufacturing. But when they come and look at the page, it's like reviews, right? It's peer-to-peer reviews. You might look at Trustpilot, you might look at these other things. And so if you have 400 beta users, that's a big layer of trust. The marketing funnel and reservation, sorry, I'm going to get to you, Ido, in 1 second. With the reservation funnel, when you collect email leads, an email list is going to convert between 2 to 5% on the campaign when you actually launch. 2 to 5% is what you're going to see for the list on the conversion. What a lot of marketers are now recommending and that you can do is that somebody enters their email and you ask them to put a $1, $5 payment down to be a VIP and be the first one to get it. That list of individuals should convert at 30 to 35%. And so, you know, there is an element to it. You can also put down higher at $100. Do you want to add something?
Just the VIP, like you said, it's one of the tools that normally we like to use, especially for products that cost more money. Okay, because if a product costs more than $100 or $300, and the higher the amount that people will put, will give you a higher chance that they will also buy the product. Okay, because if I put $1, I will forget it. If I put $30, I will remember. You see, and probably I would buy because the hardest thing in marketing and e-commerce is making people open their wallet. Okay, so you're doing it. It's called the foot in the door. Okay, that's the first step. You're doing asking for something small, and then you can get something big. Okay.
I've got that. Yep, I promised you. Ah,
Today's lunch anyway, depending on the cash flow from the crowdfunding. In a poorly managed crowdfunding campaign, it's a complete failure. Then it is lunch product, or do you think that is the only thing you lose is the effort and money that you spend in the crowdfunding campaign?
it's a complicated question. It's a hard, it depends. It depends. It's a good question. Can it cause damage? It's how you manage it. It depends on the exposure of it. It depends on many different things. And also why did it not fail? Did it just not, did it, or why did it not succeed? So then it wouldn't necessarily, so then you didn't garner enough audience attention and everything else. You should be okay. But we'll talk about it later. Wait, hold on. You want to add to it?
Yeah. But it's also market validation. So if the campaign is a failure, you need to think twice if you want to launch the product.
Wait, hold on. Ido, you had a question before? Correct. Yeah, there's quite a few campaigns like that that will invest in the research and development and the beta testing before going, but it's still before going to market because there is still an element of when you get a product for free, everyone's happy to get something for free versus having to pull your credit card out and pay for it, as we said.
A few questions all related to the same topic. Maybe you could tell us more about your audience, because and the tools to work to target the audience. So maybe you can give us some metrics or qualitative characteristics of the people who present your community, and what kind of products they are more vulnerable, or what is more appealing to your audience. Since we will let's start there. Are there any tools within the platform to target the audience, and how to work with this? And practically, you expect us to finance the marketing on top of that and do it as a separate budget, or it's all within this? So if it was expected to be done separately, so what's the reason to put it on the platform at all?
Yep, good question. A lot of questions. No, it's good. If I don't get to all of them, bear with me and we'll be able to find you after. So Indiegogo was actually the first crowdfunding platform that came out in 2008 for reward-based. The audience has been growing ever since. As I said, our audience of early adapters are repeat backers. So 1 in 3 are coming back and actually coming and searching on the platform for new products to back and to be a part of, which is really exciting. Our audience skews towards tech enthusiasts, as I said, early adapters, people that are willing to unite around ideas to help support innovators, entrepreneurs, startups, and these kinds of projects. So that, says a lot already within itself. Our audience is actually fairly even in terms of men and women, if we talk about it from that perspective. What tools exist on the platform? So Indiegogo is a platform for you to launch on in order to access and to gain exposure to that crowdfunding audience. So it's a platform that you are launching on. You have a variety of features like the pre-campaign page in order to collect emails and start gathering interest. You have features such as secret perks, so that if you have the $1 reservation funnel, you can actually offer that VIP list something more exclusive. We have gifting. So if somebody wants to buy something for their dad or for their brother, and then in demand and a variety of other things. So that's all within that realm. Indiegogo also offers digital marketing services that you can reach out to if you qualify. There is a dedicated newsletter and then a few other newsletters and some other marketing promotions. However, to your question about marketing, the reason you would launch on Indiegogo, because your marketing budget, no matter where you launch, is separate. Whether you do it as a self-starter or the traditional model that we talked about, or you go on your website or you go somewhere else, you still need to have a marketing budget. That is true. The benefit of Indiegogo is that these are early adapters that understand that your product might take a year or year and a half to deliver. These are early adapters that understand that you are a new entrepreneur, that it takes time, and that they're sympathetic to that. So versus individuals who might just come and do a pre-order and go, I want to get it in a month. So there is, something to that, and to, really be appreciative about. Yeah.
Something that you can't have if you have an e-commerce website and you launch a product, even if you got in the first 30 or 60 days $1 million worth of orders, nobody knows. Okay, if you do it on Indiegogo, everybody knows. That's the main difference. Success story.
It's a success story. But just because we're going to take only 2 more questions, so. No. Yeah, I mean,
you have Facebook ads
yeah, it's about Facebook ads, but you're talking about on the
on
platform.
the platform.
On the platform, you have the algorithm, there's a certain amount of factors, but that's about what you do in advance in terms of ranking. So one of the things also we didn't talk about is that when you launch, we try to recommend that you reach 30% of your funding goal in the first 48 hours. So that's also something, because it also helps you rank higher in your category, and so on and so forth. So as you have traction, you can continue to rank. I'm going to take 2 more questions from people that I didn't hear from yet. I just want to wait. So if there's new people, I have 1 in the audience, and I'm going to take 3. So you in the back, you in the suit, you in the Columbia jersey. Funds for development. That's why this is why you launch on the platform, but you do still need some marketing initiatives. So the idea is that you can launch on the platform prior to manufacturing and production, and you take those funds and then you go and launch. Yes. There's no, yeah. You're in the beginning before you have the campaign? After you finish it? It's a very important question. It's a very interesting question. It can take 3 months if you're close to manufacturing. It can take 2 years. What's most important is that you have a timeline that you think that
Transparent.
that you're transparent and that you're communicating to the audience. So if you get to a place, I've worked on campaigns where we were not necessarily close, but we were working with the manufacturing and the production. Everything seemed like it was on track. And unfortunately, things happened between the tooling and the molds and whatever it might be. And there was a 7-month delay. But this is why the benefit of going to crowdfunding with an early adapter audience is that there is a layer of understanding with that. As long as you are transparent and clear and you communicate to your backers regularly and you involve them and keep them updated in the process. Wait, sorry.
Some projects who do crowdfunding try to develop. Chinese guy built something like this, and only after this it was a release.
Yeah, that can happen. But back to your question, my suggestion is try to develop it and have a most advanced product, because like that you can continue the momentum of your campaign and not lose it, because 2 years after nobody will remember you. Okay, so if you do it 3 months, you will enjoy the success of your campaign on Indiegogo. Okay, so don't do 2 years, and also the conversion will go down. If people will see, oh, I'm buying now a product that will be ready in 2 years, they will say, okay, I'll wait for it to come in 2 years.
No, you need to deliver, sorry, you need to deliver what you promised and advertised on the platform. It's most important. But we can continue to talk about it just,
For example, check product B2B.
huh, no. That is a fantastic question.
That's why it's
Uh,
crowdfunding.
It's so if we talk about B2B, equity. So a lot of products will go on the equity crowdfunding side. Pardon me? Not reward, right? Reward based is for B2C. If you really think about it, it's B2C, it's pre-sale. I don't have any examples, but I mean, again, with some of the e-bikes, you'll see that they'll make perks that are really large for distributors. But again, the target of the platform is not for, but equity crowdfunding.
But the fact that you do a campaign on Indiegogo will give you exposure, and like that, maybe you are targeting B2C, but you are also targeting B2B, or you're targeting sellers that will come see your product and say, okay, I want you to sell your product in Australia. Let's do a deal together, and those kind of things. And so you're opening your market globally, and that's very good, thanks to the Indiegogo platform.
Excellent. So we have one bonus question. I didn't hear from you yet.
Yeah, I want to ask about A/B tests using Indiegogo and other platforms. So maybe I have a situation like federal customer target audience for my project, like teachers, so users, not my parents, and maybe I want to do some different creatives for them, and different approaches, they test them. It should be one campaign or several campaigns.
Yeah. You want to answer first?
So one of the things that you can do when you're launching a campaign, sometimes you start a campaign and you see that the conversion is not amazing. So you can still make a better strategy, or you tilt a little bit, or you make changes, you use different keywords, you change things. Sometimes even just change the headline and it works better. Sometimes you had to change the subheadline. Sometimes you change you make the video a little bit shorter, and then the campaign starts to convert better. So it's also kind of an A/B testing. Or you can try focusing, if you're doing Facebook ads, target 1 week on, I don't know, you're doing educational, so 1 week target more parents, next week target more teachers, and see what converts better. So you leave everything as is on the platform, but when you're doing the A/B testing, it's more with the audiences.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you all again for attending, and I'm going to be staying around for a few minutes in the end. I didn't get my slide, but if anyone has any questions. Again, thank you all for coming out. Thank you for all the crowdfunding questions. Ron and I are going to be hanging out for some more time for networking, so continue to connect. And also all those marketers and entrepreneurs, make sure you guys connect with each other. So yeah, thank you.